Hey folks, welcome back to Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for the very first time, but either way, thank you so much for choosing to join me for a pick a card reading today on a bit of a refreshing topic. I don't think I've ever done this before on my channel, but should be pretty fun. So as you can tell by the title you just clicked on, that is the message you've been accidentally ignoring. Oops, which is very common. We all do it. We get so busy with our modern life, the chaos, the fast pace, that sometimes we miss a bunch of signs and synchronicities and messages in dreams or in waking life that we look back in retrospect and we're like, oh, I really wish I had known what that message was at that time. I just didn't notice it. So hopefully this reading will help bring it to your attention so that it helps you more so at the time that you need to see it rather than later when it would have been, as I said, nice in retrospect. Okay, so with that explained, let us pick our pile leaders. I will shuffle those right now for us. So of course, calling on Spirit for our highest best good today. Can you guide us to the right pile leaders for everyone? Thank you. The message they've been accidentally ignoring. Oops. Happens all the time, like I said. So there's pile 1, pile 2. I feel this one for pile 3. So let's unveil them together. Pile 1 over here on the left, your pile leader today is, power, with lightning striking the mountain. Very beautiful. Power. Feeling kind of drawn to that one myself. All right, so for pile 2, you have, another very powerful image, but specifically you have courage with the waves lashing against the rocks of the ocean. Very beautiful. And last but not least, for pile number 3 over here on the right, your leader is a bit more of a whimsical one. We have change with the carousel horse on the hot air balloon. Awesome. So pile 1, power. Pile 2, courage. Pile 3, change. Though, as I always say, you are perfectly welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide, to look at the cards, trust your gut, trust your intuition, see what messages from your spirit guides come through. Sometimes I even just ask my own spirit guides when I watch readings. Give me a number 1 through 3. And that is like the pile that I'll pick. But whatever your method, choose the way that you want to. When you are ready, drop down to the description box below. Find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our fun, exciting chat about the message you've been accidentally ignoring. Oops. See you in the reading, everyone. Hi there, pile number 1. Welcome to your message today on something that you've been accidentally ignoring. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to power as your pile leader. Now, when I look at this power card, the first thing that really comes to mind in terms of signs or synchronicities that maybe you've been missing, perhaps literally like imagery around lightning bolts, imagery around storms, or perhaps you've been seeing some kind of weird stuff going on electrically around, say, your workplace, your home, etc. recently, like maybe lights have been kind of flickering in a weird way, or maybe a light bulb burnt out a lot faster than it was supposed to, or maybe like the power's been going out, something along those lines, or you've been seeing perhaps a lot of symbols, like I said, either like lightning bolts or even something like lightning bulbs. That might resonate with some of you, not all of you necessarily, because as I said with this reading in the intro, there are some of you, I guess I should say, that perhaps you just haven't even been noticing the signs at all. So that is for those of you that have been noticing signs like that. But at least with this first card, that's the first synchronicity or sign that I'm seeing because of this being the one that you were drawn to. And of course, too, it could also mean that there's been, even if it's not necessarily those symbols, that there's been a lot of stuff happening lately around the theme of power in your life. So it's very possible that maybe there's been kind of like power struggles between you and another person, or maybe like power struggles at work, things like that. Or maybe you feel like you've had your power kind of robbed from you in some way, or, I mean, it kind of makes me think of the 5 of Wands kind of energy. In terms of tarot, we'll see if that does pop out with your tarot spread, but those are the first things that are at least coming to me intuitively for you. So let's keep those in mind as we go through your other cards, but those are my first impressions for your message today, pile 1. Now, let's see. Let's start with the Dream Ritual Oracle as your next one. We'll draw that next. Spirit for pile 1 today. Anything else you want to tell us about the message they've been kind of accidentally ignoring? Oops. Let's see here. You'll also probably see some other signs and synchronicities, especially if things are repeated, pile 1. So we have foresee, seeing something in the future. We have the new moon. We also have clocks. Now I know, at least here in the United States, we recently had daylight savings. So that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind with clocks when I see that. So perhaps maybe even like around daylight savings time, you saw like some sort of thing, sign around power, around clocks, or you've had some sort of like gut intuition sense around that time and you weren't 100% sure whether or not to follow it. So that could be another synchronicity we have coming forward. We also have a staircase. And of course, when we think about the idea of foreseeing, that makes me think that yes, a lot of you in this pile have seen or had like an I guess I'll say like an intuitive hit. You've already had a gut feeling about something, but you're not 100% sure whether or not you wanted to follow it, is kind of what I am hearing. So let's keep that in mind. And then next up, let us do your Soul Mirror Oracle. Power, foresee. Let's see if I can grab the deck. I didn't want to get it into my hands. All right, I'm feeling drawn to this one. We have Priestess. So speaking of like our intuition and kind of knowing something ahead of time, I am mentioning this part because in Tarot, the High Priestess, as like this card says, is also a priestess, is the card about seeing something in the future, just like foresee talks about, but it's also the card of intuition in general. And you have the keywords ignorant versus wise. I don't know, I think you've really been doubting yourself lately in your intuition. There's something that's been nagging at you, pile 1, but you're not 100% sure whether or not you wanted to follow it. You're like, I don't know, am I just crazy? Am I just seeing there's something there that really actually isn't there? But I think what this reading is telling you, pile 1, is you're not crazy. You actually have been seeing something correctly. Like, we have blaring neon signs here about you've foreseen it. The priestess, who is a figure of someone that sees something in the future, especially with cartomancy-related symbolism. So, I don't know. And then we have the new moon twice. I mean, obviously we have that one here, and then above her head and her flower crown, there is a new moon. It's blocked out, or it's almost like an eclipse, kind of. So, maybe you've been seeing eclipse imagery lately, too. Priestess energy. And it almost looks like her necklace. It's really hard to see on camera, I bet, but her necklace does have a little bit of like a fire symbol. And then the headpiece she has almost looks like, it's hard to tell, it kind of looks like a teardrop or a water drop to me, which of course makes me think of a storm once again. I don't know, pile 1. And then, another thing I was going to mention too was the time on the foresee card. So that almost looks to me, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, it's pointing both at a 3 and a 11. So I don't know if the numbers 3 and 11 have been popping up a lot for you recently in terms of signs and synchronicities, but I'd keep an eye out for that too. And then last but not least for your oracle cards, let's look at the Lantern Oracle. Now, this deck is great about explaining situations specifically. Well, it's a great deck overall. If you've seen my channel before, I always rant about, or well, I should say not rant, rave about how great this deck is, but actually, I feel drawn to this one back here. And we have another light symbolism. There's literally like a light shaft coming here, almost kind of like the lamp in your foresee card, and the lightning, of course. And it says, assistance with access, number 10. It is necessary to ask for and accept help in order to receive it. So it's very possible, pile 1, that a lot of this intuition that you've been already receiving from the universe, from your guides, etc., has been something related to you wondering maybe if you need help with something, or maybe you have kind of an inkling that, maybe someone wants to help me with something, or maybe I should ask for more assistance with something. Or 2, it could be that you literally are asking for access to something, but you're not sure, like, if I ask for it, would that be overstepping my bounds, or, overcoming someone's boundaries that I don't want to cross, or, because specifically she's also holding a key, so that could be another synchronicity you've been seeing lately, is a key. And I don't know, I think maybe the reason why you're doubting it is because, or like you're doubting asking for this assistance or asking for this help is either like you believe you don't deserve the help, or it's like you don't think that it really matters that much in the end. Like you're like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Or I feel as if, like, oh, I'll find another way of doing this. Like, I don't want to be a bother to somebody, or I don't want to, like, I don't know, there's just that kind of energy, I guess is how I would describe it. But your intuition is telling you this for a reason, pile one. There's something very specific about why you're being encouraged highly to go in this direction. Oh, and another thing too, this also might resonate with some of you in the way of maybe you're asking for more power in some way. Maybe you're thinking about asking for more power at your job. So in which case would be like, higher responsibilities, right? Or, a better title is another thing. And maybe you're kind of like, well, I don't want to bug, I don't want to beg, I don't want to seem needy, things like that. But then it keeps getting to you in terms of your intuition, like, well, maybe I should ask if I can take on that responsibility or that greater title, etc. Or it could also be asking for help in terms of a power struggle, like related to, say, if there is like a little bit of headbutting at work or in a personal situation. Maybe you're like, well, I'll just handle this little conflict all on my own. I don't need anyone to come in and help me. But it's maybe getting to the point where your intuition is telling you, well, maybe I should ask for help with this particular thing. Because sometimes, when we have those power struggles or those fights with other people, like, yeah, we kind of want to handle them on our own, but sometimes it really helps, especially if you can bring someone into the situation that does have greater power. Like, say, if it is a job-related thing, your manager, right? If you have a manager above you, right? To help simmer things down, especially if it's like a power struggle in terms of a project where, sometimes you have those projects where it's like you get assigned specific roles, but then certain people kind of overstep those roles because they want more power, because they want to like look better, or they're stepping on other people's toes. Like, it's maybe that kind of situation too, pile one. In any way where like power and your intuition and you perhaps wondering if you should ask for help with something, wherever those like three themes have intersected, I think this is what Spirit is talking to you about today. Now, let's of course look at your tarot cards. That will give us like the full breadth, and it also will explain more about like what is the message about this specific situation that they want you to know, of course, besides the literal like follow your gut intuition when it comes to when you want to ask for help. Okay, so let's draw these tarot cards. Spirit, could you give me 5 cards or so on the situation? What do you want them to know about it, and like any other signs or like confirmations for pile one on this? Oh, and another thing too, I was just thinking about how, too, especially for those who like maybe wondering if you should ask for more responsibility or a title, we also have like a staircase here in 4C. I just noticed that. I was like, oh, like you're moving up in the world, moving up the staircase. Anyways. Well, also too, I think of, I wasn't supposed to flip that over, but hey, I flipped it over. You got the Knight of Cups as a second. Doesn't really matter when I flip them over, I guess. But yeah, anyways, the staircase was talking about, like moving up in the world. All right, I flipped that one over too. Well, whatever. We'll flip over all of them. Okay, so the first one is, yes, okay, the 8 of Cups. 1 second. No, I really messed up all your cards, pile one. Forgive me. All right, so, yes, okay, so 8 of Cups was first. There we go. Get my ducks in a row. Or my hawks in this case. And then you had the Knight of Cups. And then you had the Star, very beautiful, as your central card. Great sign. Okay, and then let's draw the last two before I mess up the order again. And then we had Judgment reversed. Okay. Oh, that's probably why you are being given that intuition. I think Spirit is trying to warn you against, like, 2 paths you could go down, and if you follow your gut, it will bring you to a better path, or, like, the more successful path, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It really hit me when Judgment came out. And then we have the 2 of Wands in the final position. Okay, pile one. Let me take a gander at your cards. We do have a bit of an element of wanting to emotionally move on from something, and especially when it comes to taking action with your heart or regarding relationships, okay? Because the 8 of Cups here in the very beginning, that is a card of, I am done with an emotional situation and I just want to move on. Especially when it is upright, it's like we're already at that point of, okay, time to take off. I want to leave this behind. So that could reflect for some of you, like a situation at work where, yes, there has been a power struggle and you're like, I don't care about the feelings of this. I just want to get like progress going. I just want to move on. I don't want to have this power struggle problem anymore. Or for those of you that are maybe like wanting more responsibility or you want more power in some way, that is kind of, you know, like it makes sense for you to have because you've already proven your worth. You've already proven you can handle it, etc. Like say a title change, you know, a raise or more responsibility. Like this then for you guys would represent a situation where you're like, okay, I am already emotionally moved on past like where I was before in terms of my responsibilities at this level. I'm ready for the next level, which is interesting because you also got Judgment. We'll talk about that in a little while, but that's why it finally clicked for me when Judgment came out, because I was like, oh, we're trying to get to the next level, and that's why your gut is telling you to follow this. Okay. So yes, and then too, with the Knight of Cups, as I said, it tends to, once again, because it's cups, just like the Eight of Cups, it's a situation that deals with emotions or relationships for the most part, and knights, as we know in tarot, at least the way I interpret, tend to be action takers. Sometimes they're also messengers. They can be messengers because they do ride horses typically, but most of the time I see them as taking action within, especially a Knight of Cups would be within relationships or our feelings, okay? So we're already in this I'm ready to move on situation. This is kind of what sparked all of this. And then you're like, I want to take action with this social situation, with this relationship situation, or also something that you want to take action on based on these feelings that you already decided in the very beginning of like, I'm tired, I want to move on. Okay. And then in the middle, so this is also your present position. Also, I call it the heart of the matter. It's the overall theme of the reading. And the star, my friends, often represents, well, you know, she's reaching for something. She wants something. She's going after it. So that is more specific to this particular card. But the traditional interpretation of the star, in my opinion, is more about having hope or faith in things, trying to hope things will work out just fine. And I think this is actually where we get to the conflict between you and your intuition and what your gut is telling you. Because remember, I said at the very beginning, when I saw Judgment and then when I kind of pulled out the final cards, is like, I think your intuition and why Spirit is trying to warn you about this and trying to give you this message is because they want you to avoid a situation where you do not get what it is that you're seeking. Okay, so here's what it is. I think what's going on is the reason why you're not following your gut right now, pile one, is because of this star energy. Typically, it's actually a positive card, but sometimes, you know, especially because of the Judgment reversed right after it, we have too much hope or faith in that things will work out. Now, that's usually a great thing. It's great to be optimistic. It's great to look at silver linings. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, my friends, the star can mean that we're just kind of hoping, well, we'll just kind of see how it goes. I hope everything will be fine, you know. Kind of seems like things are going well, but then because of the energy that we're moving into the near future, we have Judgment reversed. That's why I say, well, maybe you should follow your gut a little bit more. This is what Spirit's trying to encourage you towards, because with Judgment reversed, now I read it in two different ways. It can literally mean bad judgment reversed in terms of, you know, there's something about the situation that might reflect more poorly on you if you don't kind of push for assistance with access, or if you don't follow what your gut or your intuition is trying to tell you to do. So that's the literal Judgment interpretation. Although sometimes I also interpret it as like a level up card, because it's kind of like, I mean, it's like Judgment Day. It's like we're kind of moving on to the next plane. We're moving up in life in some way, which is very fitting for those of you especially that are maybe looking for, as I said, like that raise, that title thing, more responsibility. In that case, it can mean that we're denied leveling up. We're denied being the ability to move up into the next level, okay? Hence why Judgment is reversed. And then in the very end, we have the Two of Wands, okay? So typically the Two of Wands is a card of planning for the future. It can also be a card of yearning to leave someplace. It's kind of similar to the Eight of Cups in the very beginning, but it's more in terms of, instead of I've emotionally moved on, because that's cups, right, to I've moved on in terms of my ambitions, or in terms of like what I'm planning for my goals and what I'm passionate about, okay? And specifically, this literally is her. You can see the depiction. She's literally stuck in a cage. She's like, I'm stuck in a cage. I wish I could get out. And it actually would be really easy to get out, because literally all she has to do is just take the cage off of her head. So she's looking at all these other birds and she's like, man, I wish I was free. I wish I could get out. And if she would just look down and raise her hand, pop that cage off, she would be fine. She'd be like, oh, I'm free. So I think that's also reflective, pile one, of the situation in terms of if you would just ask for it. you might be pleasantly surprised in what you get in return, in terms of help, in terms of, that raise, in terms of that title, that progress, whatever it is that you're kind of looking for in terms of your goals in this situation. It's just like the girl with the cage on her head. It's like literally, you just have to kind of pop the cage off. It's not that anyone's holding it over your head. It's not that it's denied to you. It's that maybe sometimes in life you have to kind of ask for it first. Because otherwise, sometimes, it's not... I don't know, at least me personally, I've had plenty of situations in life where I thought something was denied to me or not given to me because I thought, like, the other person involved in the decision-making process, like, didn't see my worth, or, maybe I wasn't good enough, kind of more self-esteem related things. And then I realized in retrospect, pile one, that actually, if I had just asked and I had indicated interest, that oh, well, actually, they would have given it to me. Unfortunately, that does happen. I'm sure it's happened in your life too, pile one. So this is that kind of situation, I guess. So I guess overall, in terms of advice here, your spirit guides, spirit universe, etc., are saying, like, you already are ready for this next level. You already have what it takes. So number one, don't let self-esteem get in the way. Don't think, oh, I'm not good enough, because you are. You're already ready. That's why your intuition is telling you. Like, go for it. Ask for it. Okay, so throw any self-esteem things out the window in terms of, thinking you're not good enough for it, because you are, pile one. Okay, that's number one. But number two, yes, it's good to look on the optimistic side, but sometimes with the star next to Judgment reversed, we can get mired in stagnancy and stasis just because we assume something will come to us by the merit of either just waiting for it, or that if it's meant to be ours, it will be. And yes, I do believe in things like that in terms of, like, if it's meant to be yours, it will be. I do believe in divine timing as well, personally, but I also believe that there's some situations in life that, especially when it comes to, like, perhaps life lessons surrounding, knowing your worth and asking for what you're worth, right? This is kind of what I'm seeing in terms of a life lesson here with this situation, okay? Sometimes we're also encouraged to learn lessons around making sure that we ask for things, okay? Because we know our worth. So, yes, look on the optimistic side, And then same thing, too, for those of you who are, this is not so much like a raise or a title or responsibility. It's more like a power struggle type fight. Now, we didn't get the Five of Wands like I expected, but if it is more like that, because I did see that intuitively at the beginning, that might have been some of the situations for you, then at the same time, too, for you, it's good to hope that conflict and that power struggle will resolve, but this is a situation where it would resolve a lot faster and free yourself from that birdcage, so to speak, get you to the next level, get the progress going, if you asked for help. So, especially for those of you that have been looking for, or you've been having a situation where you feel as if you should ask, but you're reluctant to ask anyways, no matter what the specific situation is for you. Ask anyways, okay? So don't just fall, specifically on hoping that things will resolve. I mean, they can. It's just that you have to kind of take action towards that. And then that will free you from that cage. That will help your plans progress there with that Two of Wands of the planning for the future energy, okay? And then let me see if there's any other signs or synchronicities here too. Of course, we talked about, the lightning, the clocks, the new moon, the key also. And the key also probably comes up kind of in the cage as well. So not only with assistance with access, but literally like a cage here. Of course, you open cages with keys. So maybe cages have been kind of a predominant symbolism or synchronicity you've been seeing recently also. And we have, I guess technically that's an angel, but it kind of makes me think of a Valkyrie. Because in Scandinavian folklore, the Valkyrie is, the winged beings that come to take the spirits from the souls and from battlefields, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They take souls from battlefields. They take them to the next level. And it makes me also think, I didn't realize this till now, pile one, but for those of you especially that have been having power struggles, I feel like maybe it is between just you and one other person here. And it's like this Valkyrie character, or angelic character, if not a Valkyrie specifically, is the person that will come to end the battle, so to speak. So once again, that might be like a manager in the situation that needs to be alerted to, like, hey, we're having some issues here. Can you help kind of like we tried to resolve it on our own, but there's still a struggle here. Like, can you just step in just a little bit so we can make progress and not worry about like all these power struggle problems? Like, then they would be the Valkyrie or like the angelic being in that situation, coming to help bring you from the field of that metaphorical battle, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so we do have like, yeah, Valkyrie, cages, keys, and then, yep, stars. We have a moon again, but it's not specifically a new moon like your other cards. And then we have, what kind of bug is that? Is that a bee? I think it is a bee. It has the yellow and black stripes. And then, of course, we have the bear with Ursa Major up here, which is interesting because although it's not Polaris, the Ursa Major constellation can point to Polaris through the tail of it, or the Big Dipper, the handle of it, if it's not, you're not looking at the whole constellation, which is like a North Star. So maybe stars really are a prominent example. And of course, she's on a ship, right? She's navigating by the stars. So stars might be another synchronicity you're seeing a lot. But I think that is it for the most part. So storms, power, little flickers, electrical problems, electrical flashing, the new moon, clocks, and of course, yeah, the keys and the cages I see with all those signs and synchronicities. So look out for those, pile one. But number one, even beyond the signs and synchronicities, look at your intuition. Your gut is telling you something, and go for it. You have so many cards that are like, you foresaw it. The priestess, which is, she runs on intuition, right? Go with that gut intuition is kind of your main message for today that you've been missing, okay? Wonderful. So that was your message today on the message you've been, well, accidentally ignoring, as we all do sometimes, as I said in the very beginning. Life is chaotic, life is stressful, and sometimes we just doubt our intuition, but you are being encouraged in that direction to not doubt it this time. So I hope that reading helped you. I hope it resonated. I hope you liked it most of all. And if so, you know how the YouTube stuff goes. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you so much if you choose to do those things. Just one or maybe all three if you haven't subscribed already. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, Pile number 2. Welcome today to your message on something you've been accidentally ignoring. Oops, as we said in the intro, but of course it's very normal in our modern, fast-paced life, so we'll delve into it today, hopefully get you the message that your spirit guides, the universe, etc. have been trying to send your way. And of course, as you recall, for your pile leader, you were drawn to the beautiful card of Courage. And when I look at this card for you, pile 2, what I'm really drawn to is number 1, of course, it's, well, a depiction of the ocean, specifically the shoreline, but it is an ocean in action. It is the waves crashing against the rocks. So I almost wonder if recently you've been seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities regarding water or regarding especially like ocean waves. The main thing I'm hearing intuitively is I wonder if a lot of you have been, like, even if you don't live near a water body or you don't like live near the ocean specifically, you might have been drawn to kind of beachy things recently, or I'm hearing like ambiance around ocean stuff. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like I personally watch a ton of ambiance, like meditation, like nature videos on YouTube myself. So I wonder if maybe some of you have been kind of drawn to that recently, specifically, as I said, towards like water or ocean sounds. And maybe it's just out of the blue. You kind of was wondering, like, why am I drawn to that kind of stuff? Because maybe you listen, well, maybe you normally like listen to other stuff, but I'm hearing for some of you it is like ambiance videos and whatnot. So very cool. I watch a lot of them myself, as I said. So if you've been seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities around water, ocean sounds, etc., everything we talked about, or just like even like wave symbols. Also, yeah, literally your pile leader says courage. So things regarding courage or situations in your life recently where you've seen a lot of, or brushed up against is maybe a better term to use, where you've been asked to be more courageous, or you've had opportunities to use more courage. That is a sign, I think, from the universe. That is part of the signs and synchronicities, or I can't talk today. Synchronicities, that's the word. I can't talk. That maybe you've been ignoring a bit lately, or it just hasn't really come through clearly enough. So let us put your pile leader over here to the left. We'll see, of course, with your other cards, what other signs and synchronicities are coming forward, especially when we see signs and symbols that are repeated across different cards from different decks. That's usually when some of that cool symbolism comes out. So let's keep going. Anything else I've been accidentally ignoring, Spirit? Feeling drawn to this one down here in the middle. We have forgive. Almost kind of looks like a rain shower. They are stars, but it is falling like vertically. So once again, we have like rain, water symbolism a little bit, and then we have a crescent moon, and we have the house hanging onto the clouds on a stone. So images of suspension, maybe situations too, where maybe part of the courage you've been asked to address is related to forgiveness or forgiving something, or maybe someone forgiving you for something. Maybe regret of some sort, maybe forgiving yourself. That's another thing that might pop up too, is having the courage to forgive ourselves for something. Let's keep going. We'll see what other things crop up. Oh, another thing I just realized, pile 2, in the background of the courage card, it's very faint. I don't know if anyone will be able to see this on camera, but I for sure can. There's actually a map pattern imprinted over the clouds in the background. So courage 2 with a map makes me wonder if some of you are perhaps moving soon, or something about travel. Maybe you've been trying to muster up the courage to travel, or you've been kind of getting an intuitive hit of like, oh, maybe I should move, maybe I should travel. And also specifically, we're going to dive into Greek mythology here. In the background, very faint, you probably can't see it, but I will tell you, it says Scylla. I think that's how you pronounce it. And if I am correct, if I remember from, oh God, was it Homer's The Odyssey? I read it quite a while ago in college. I think it was Greek myth, whatever it was. I think there are 2 sea monsters that churn and destroy ships. There's Scylla, and I think Charybdis is the other one. And I can't remember which one is Scylla and which one is Charybdis, but either way, they're like sea monsters and like whirlpools that, you know, they're kind of scary. They were the representation in Greek myth of the unknown of the ocean and the danger of the ocean when sailors were traveling. So once again, that probably is why that comes up on a card for courage. So maybe if you've been seeing references to Scylla and Charybdis recently, or like sea monsters too, that could be another synchronicity, or Greek myth in general. And 2, it's like, once again, it represents that scary situation in life that requires courage to bypass the dangers, okay? Maybe there's also a situation in your life recently where you've seen this danger in the near future and you're kind of scared and you're like, I'm not sure how I'm going to navigate around that metaphorical Scylla and Charybdis in my situation. But let's keep going. And then we have the moon phases with someone who is stretching. She is reaching up towards the top, and it says expression with suppressed versus joyful. And there's actually text at the side of her body here, so I'm going to try to peer at that and read it. Once again, I apologize that you can't see that on camera, but I will read it off for you. It says, oh boy, is that Latin? Speaking of Greek. I apologize. I do not know exactly what that translates to, or that actually might be Spanish. It says, oh boy, no sé caminar como or per longa do cao, or cao. I probably butchered the pronunciation, but if any of you have any idea what that meant, please feel free to weigh down in the comments down below. But yes, your card is expression suppressed / joyful. I really wish I could translate that. I know a little bit of Latin from a bunch of years of choir, but that's about the extent of what I know in terms of Latin, or same thing with Spanish. So expressing oneself. Maybe you've been having situations too recently where you felt like you wanted to express yourself, but you didn't have the courage to. That might be your gut kind of pushing you, like, hey, your intuition saying, go and express yourself. Or 2, could be symbolism with like dance specifically, or other ways that you express yourself physically. Of course, if you think of dance as the number one prime example, but at the same time, it could be, you know, expressing yourself creatively in terms of like writing, like literally, just like the writing along the side of her body, or creative expression in terms of art, in terms of music. That's another way we express ourselves, other than just saying things directly. Maybe that's where you've been turning a lot recently. Maybe you haven't been able to express yourself in a very blunt, verbal way to the people that you wish you could express yourself or your feelings. So maybe you've been turning to more subtle terms or forms of expression through creativity. There's a reason for that if you're resonating with all of this, pile number 2, okay? Keep those in mind. Maybe you've been learning a language too. Expression. Maybe you wanted to learn a language, in which case you should, because that is your intuition telling you to learn that language, especially maybe if you are traveling, just like the map in the background of Courage. Maybe you're meant to travel to that place, pile 2. So wherever you find yourself drawn to new forms of expression or expressing yourself in a way that you haven't done much recently, but your intuition's telling you to, go for it, okay? And then let's see what your Lantern Oracle has to say. There we go. And we have waves hitting rocks again. So we do have that symbolism with the ocean and the shore and the dangers too in the ocean. Because, I mean, I don't live near the ocean, never have. I'm used to the dangers of lakes. I live in an area with lots of lakes, so at least I know a little bit about nautical navigation. And of course, rocks are like another danger. Not just Scylla and Charybdis as monsters, but rocks can be very dangerous. That's why, you have navigational buoys to warn you, hey, don't boat over here, your motor might get stuck on the rocks, right? So literally we have that too. So maybe you've been seeing a lot of symbolism with like rocks and water. But specifically it says wishful expectations. Acknowledge the smoke and mirrors in your life for what they are. Number 14, if you're interested in any like numerology as well as symbolism with numbers, that could be either 1 or 4, of course, added together, that makes 5. And once again, we have a figure who's kind of bending, just like your expression card. So it makes me think of dance once again. Although specifically she's chained to this particular wheel, so it's not like she's really bending in a way that she wants to. So maybe you felt, in terms of expression recently as well, pile 2, like you felt chained to express something in a certain way, even though if it wasn't like the true way that you really wanted to say something, or it wasn't really the true honest feeling or what you were actually thinking deep inside. So maybe you've been kind of hiding your true opinions and your feelings recently for some reason. Maybe you've been afraid to kind of come out about something. Maybe you felt kind of chained to the expectations of others. That's another thing that maybe you've been lacking courage in recently, that your gut has been telling you, or you've been missing signs on. There's a lot of really cool synchronicities with your particular pile today, pile 2. And wishful expectations in general, of course, is the idea of being aware of situations in life where, especially because she's chained to that wheel, there's maybe something too that you are expecting that isn't what it seems, okay? Or it's something that it might not fall into your lap, because maybe you've just been kind of waiting for it, kind of feeling like chained to the idea of like, well, it's my fate. Because I always think of the Wheel of Fortune with the wheel as well. Maybe that will pop up as one of your tarot cards. But really it might be a situation where you're kind of similar to pile 1 this way. Maybe you need to express that is what you want before the expectation can be met. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit of a communal theme with everybody today. Let's look at your tarot cards. I want to see what else pops out. We'll see if maybe the Wheel of Fortune pops out, or more ocean imagery especially might pop out. Maybe a lot of Wands cards too, because we have had a lot about, courage is a really good keyword to use with the Wands suit and tarot, but as is creative expression. All right. Spirit, what else do you want to know about this situation? The message they've been accidentally ignoring. Where is it going? What is it that you specifically really want them to know? All right, first up, we have the 4 of Swords reversed, something becoming active and waking up. Okay. We'll talk about that more in a second. That's in your inciting incident position, which is kind of what started this all. You woke up to something, or you realized something, and then we have the Ace of Cups reversed. Okay, can mean we woke up to something that we were lacking in our life in terms of, number 1, relationships, in terms of, number 2, emotional expression, which is very fitting with what we were talking about before, with maybe feeling like we've had to stifle our emotions or our feelings in some way. Ace of Cups too can mean a lack of blessings as well. Sometimes it's seen as a blessing card, so reversed, it's like, oh, we didn't get the blessing that we were looking for, okay? Which means it's like we woke up to realizing, hey, this is something missing from our lives, okay? Could also be that you've wanted to meet more brave or more courageous in terms of things, but it's like you realized, I don't know, you woke up to the idea of, I'm trying to think about the best way to put this. It's like you woke up to the idea of, like, it was something, I almost feel like a lot of you, it's like something you turned around and you realized, oh, that thing isn't in my life and I thought it was, or that thing isn't in my life and I missed it, or like I need it more than I thought I did. Something along those lines. What an interesting twist. Let's keep going with your cards. We'll see what else pops out and then we'll read it in totality. And then we have the ocean again. We have an octopus down underwater with little human octopi babies. But specifically, you did get it with the Ten of Pentacles reversed. So, yeah, lack of legacy, not inheriting something not being passed down in some way, especially too. It does mean with the combination of the meaning of 10 and Pentacles, being the Earth suit, is completion of a cycle of some sort regarding career, resources, money, etc. Let's keep going. No wands so far. I thought you'd have a lot of wands, but you've all had pentacles and swords in the one cup. And then we have the Page of Pentacles, so another pentacles, but it's a page. Exploring our opportunities when it comes to these things. So I think a lot of you, it actually might be, you're afraid of being courageous with something with your career, or like a new business idea or a new job, or... Oh, you know what it is? Oh, I know what it is now. Okay, this might not resonate with all of you, but for a lot of you, I'm thinking you've been going through a situation where you either already left this place, but you're afraid to take the next step, or you are still at a certain place and you're afraid to take the next step to leave. But overall, I think it might be related to a job or a career, because you have a lot of Pentacles cards. I didn't even draw the last one yet, but you do have an abundance of Pentacles already. And especially for those of you that are like there and you want to leave, or you already left, but you're not really sure which direction to take next. You're afraid of being like, you don't have the courage to take the next step, even though you've been kind of having like a gut intuition of like, oh, I should go in this direction. Either way, it's like you realized you didn't want to be there because it was lacking blessings, and it was lacking, especially with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, it was lacking inheritance to you or passing down to you of financial abundance based on the effort that you've been putting in. So I guess to put that in a more mundane way, it's like it was a place where you really earned your keep, but you weren't getting your keep, okay? Or like the Nine of Pentacles reversed. I always explain that card. You didn't get it specifically, or at least not yet. I do have your last card to draw, but like the Nine of Pentacles reversed energy, where you put the quarter into the gumball machine, but you didn't get your candy or your gumball out. It's that situation where it's like you were hauling your butt, you were working really hard here, or you are currently, but you're not really getting out of it that you need. That can be a situation where it's like, Four of Swords reversed, you woke up to a lack of blessings, or a lack of celebration, or a lack of cheer. A lack of emotional fulfillment too can be the Ace of Cups reversed. And realize that you weren't inheriting the abundance or security that you deserved based on the legacy you had built there, or like the completion that you had gotten to in terms of like success at that job or whatever that might be for you, okay? So then in the near future, we have the Page of Pentacles. And the pages are explorers. They're students. They do things that are new. They learn new things. They try new things, okay? So that's like moving into a direction of exploring new things with career and abundance and stability and jobs and whatnot, all those good things. And then let's look at the last card here. This might really change the reading. We'll see. Beautiful. We have the Five of Cups, but reversed. So I will tell you this. That is a very good sign as an outcome. Typically, it's negative, upright, you got it reversed. Reversed Five of Cups means if, because now we're in the future position here, if you follow the energy of the Page of Pentacles and you explore new opportunities regarding abundance, stability, jobs, or success, you will find that your hardship and sadness comes to an end. That is what the Five of Cups reversed as an outcome means, pile 2. I will say this, I think you're already on your way there, even if this is technically a reading about a message that you've been missing or accidentally ignoring, etc., because I think you've already gotten the emotional fuel behind this change it's there in your mind. You already kind of know that maybe this place isn't the best place for you. You already can see that because of, say, maybe expression is very stifled there. Okay, like just your expression card talks about. Or maybe it's literally a card where it means that well, number one, yeah, when expression is stifled, it can mean like no one listens to you there at this particular job or this situation. It can also mean that like you're not allowed to be creative in any way. Maybe it's it might not be a place where it's necessarily like people stifle your expression, but they don't encourage it either in terms of creativity. So maybe you're looking for a more creative path. Maybe that's kind of what you've been waking up to, so to speak, with that Four of Swords energy reversed. And then you also have, the issue of courage too. I mean, maybe you've lacked the courage to speak up. Maybe you've lacked the courage to express yourself more. Maybe you've lacked the courage to say to yourself, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going someplace that will reward me for my efforts. Okay. But here's the asterisk. It requires you, pile 2, to let go of wishful expectations that this place will get better. Because from what I'm seeing with these tarot reading, like the cards right here, this whole reading in general, is this place will probably not get better because of that Page of Pentacles. And when I say that, what I mean is that it's basically saying you have all this energy here of the blessings aren't coming, you're not getting the abundance you deserve or that you've like inherited is your right by legacy because of the work that you've done, etc. So, however, though, if you do something new, you explore something new with your career, finances, stability, etc., that is what will unlock that door and that pathway towards the hardship and sadness being over with. I think you're already going on that path. Like I said, I think you're already kind of there. You're already like, yeah, screw this place. Or some of you might have already been, like you've already moved past that. You've already like, I've already left that place, whatever. And, maybe some of the issue for those of you that have already left is the courage to remind yourself, I did the right thing by leaving. Or the courage to say, what's another example? Well, also the courage to pat yourself on the back for leaving, because that's not easy. I mean, I've done that myself before, pile 2, where I had a job that was really cushy, but it was killing my soul inside. I was like, I don't really think I align with this company in terms of the way they run things, in terms of their ethics, in terms of like what their actual goal is. Like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you get that golden shackle situation where, yeah, you get paid really well and it's cushy, but if your soul is dying deep down inside, are you really winning? The money's nice, but are you really winning if you're dying inside? If your soul feels unhappy? Okay. So maybe that's kind of how you resonate with this situation. And it took a lot of courage to leave that place because I was, is the money mainly. I was just like, well, I'm making really good money. But, sometimes in life we're encouraged towards a better direction in terms of what actually sings to our soul and what actually is meaningful to us. Okay. So if you've been getting a lot of these signs recently, like the ocean stuff, dangers in the rocks, unseen dangers, sea monsters, like we talked about with Scylla and Charybdis. We also talked about, let's see if there's any other synchronicities. Lots of coins too. Of course, you got lots of pentacles. Maybe recently too, you've been wanting to, as I said, express yourself through like dance or other creative passions because maybe deep down inside you feel stifled someplace else in your life. You feel like I can't express myself here, so this is where my creativity is coming and blossoming on this other side, or where I'm drawing to maybe wanting to take dance lessons or listen to music or make music more or paint, etc., drawing, whatever is your creative expression, maybe even writing as well. That is because you are in a place that is stifling you, or you left a place that was stifling you if you've already made that move. So, number one, for those of you that fall in the camp of you already left, good job, you did the right thing. Because now you're on this path towards exploring these opportunities in terms of career stability that will help you overcome this hardship and sadness with the Five of Cups reversed, okay? Just be warned for those of you in that half of this pile, please keep having courage. Please remind yourself, I made the right decision to leave. Okay. Please keep expressing yourself too. Okay. And also too, forgiveness did come up with your forgive card. In which case, I don't know. I'm trying to think about how forgive would apply in that particular situation for those of you that have already left. You know, maybe you were mad at yourself for leaving because maybe at first you thought, well, oh, maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't have left. And then it's like coming to the idea of forgiving yourself and giving yourself the opportunity in terms of, like, you know what I'm trying to get at, pile two? It's kind of hard to explain. I guess if you were mad at yourself or you did at least initially regret it, give yourself the forgiveness to open yourself up to the potential of the opportunities coming your way because you did choose to leave. Okay. Or maybe it's potentially forgiving some people there for things maybe that happened at that particular job. Okay. If it was like, say, a job that you left or whatever the situation might be. And then also with wishful expectations, for those of you that have already left, you've already kind of let go of those wishful expectations, in which case that's just a reaffirmation to you that, yes, those were wishful expectations. It wasn't going to change. So good on you for leaving. But I would say, too, that is a little bit of an advice nudge, too, to keep exploring more, okay? Actively search, actively do things, actively try new things, too. Because, like we said with Pages, they're learning. They're students. They learn new things, especially around her element is earth, which is, jobs, career, stability of those things, resources. So for those of you that have not left yet, if you fall in that camp of this particular reading, if you have not left yet, pile two. You always have free will. I will never tell you as a tarot reader that you have to do something, and neither will Spirit. But I would suggest you're being really highly encouraged to leave and explore new things to overcome the sadness that you're feeling. Okay. I almost wonder, too, if some of you, especially those that have not left yet, and you're still kind of in that not so fun situation, whatever that might be, maybe the expression, too, is, I don't know, have you felt kind of like numb inside recently? Or you felt kind of like you haven't been able to express yourself even in terms of your emotions? Like, sometimes to survive, if we're in a bad situation, we literally just like turn our emotions off and we don't feel them like we're supposed to, because we think to ourselves, well, that's like my survival or like my defense mechanism to just surviving and continuing with this thing that I know isn't right for me. But at the same time, I'm staying here for reasons outside of, just my personal fulfillment. Like, say, like the money is good, like using the same example from the job that I left, like I was talking about earlier. In which case, that's another sign too that maybe you should leave, because, I just look at this particular Five of Cups because the figure here is crying. And literally, it's like they're holding back their tears. You can't even see it. And there's even kind of like snakes thriving and writhing around the situation, even around their face. Like it even looks like it's over their mouth. Like a snake has been holding back their expression. But then if you turn it upside down and we let go and we let ourselves feel again, we realize, oh, I really was feeling that way that I didn't notice before because I wasn't allowing myself to express more, because out of a survival mechanism, I felt as if I could not. So I almost wonder too, for those of you that have not left yet, I think there might even be an aspect of the situation that after you, if you choose to leave, after you do, you might look back in retrospect and be like, oh my God, how stifled was I? I did not realize how much I was holding back or how much actually bothered me that I just didn't notice because I kept stuffing it down. Okay, so yes, you have free will if you fall in the camp of you haven't left yet, but I would say this is a pretty strong sign, especially if a lot of this has been resonating with you, that, maybe it's better for you out there somewhere else besides where you are right now, pile two. Okay. Choose places that allow you to express yourself. Choose courage. I know it's hard. I've been there myself, like I said, with my own example. But every single place that I ever left where I was unhappy, I never regretted it in the end. Because if you know you're unhappy, why stay? All right? I know sometimes we have those, things that boxes. I mean, like we have to be realistic in terms of like, well, do I have a backup if it is a job that you're leaving, for example? Do I have a backup in terms of my resources? Do I have enough savings? Do I have maybe another job lined up that I can do in the meantime that, I at least can stand more than this one, or whatever the situation might be, even if it's not a job. So of course, keep those things in mind. But maybe consider an exit plan of some sort if you're finding that, especially this is resonating where you're not being fairly compensated or fairly respected and you're not really able to express yourself. Okay? Because you deserve to have a place where you can freely express yourself. Okay? You deserve to be given what you have earned. Okay? And then 2, one last thing, like it says here with wishful expectations, acknowledge the smoke and the mirrors in your life for what they are. Also, for those of you that have not left yet, there might be something that's kind of smoke and mirrory about where you are. So follow your gut and your intuition on that and see where maybe things aren't exactly what they seem. And that might also kind of encourage you to make a move in a more positive direction towards a place that's better for you. Okay? So that's my last intuitive message for you today. All right, pile 2, I hope that reading helped you. I hope you liked it. I hope it resonated, of course. And if so, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. I just repeat it because it does help the channel a lot when you guys interact with the content in that way. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. As I said, it does help me out a lot. So even just a little like is great. So thank you. And as we say in our channel tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile 3. Welcome to the message you've been accidentally ignoring, as we said in the intro. Oops. But it does happen in our busy modern life, as I was saying before. Sometimes we just miss some of those synchronicities and those signs because we're just so busy with other things or we don't trust our intuition. But that's what this message is here for, so let's get into it. Of course, as you recall, you were drawn to change as your pile leader. And when I look at this card for you, pile 3, what I'm really drawn to in terms of signs and synchronicities is perhaps, of course, we have a horse, a white horse, although it is specifically a carnival or like a carousel horse, like you'd see attached to those poles on the carousel that goes around. So maybe carousels have also been a sign or a symbol you've been seeing recently and you're not really sure why. Could also mean like hot air balloons or balloons in general. Or I always kind of think too of like a circus, like circus related things. Maybe you've been drawn to visiting a circus of some sort or like some sort of carnival or some sort of festivity like that, like a fair, etc. Whatever might be available in your own regional area. But there's a reason for that. And then change too. Maybe you've been coming across a lot of like themes around change in your life recently and you're not sure like why they keep popping up. Maybe all of a sudden, you've been going in one direction with something and then a monkey wrench gets thrown in it and you have to change towards this direction instead. Or maybe you've been changing your mind a lot about things recently and you're not 100% sure why. Like you've been so either like inconsistent or indecisive is maybe a better word to use. Things like that. So let's keep those ideas in mind. Of course, we'll see with the other cards if there are more synchronicities between them. Especially when I see things repeated, it makes me think, yes, this is definitely a sign that maybe has been sent your way that you haven't been noticing yet. Also, too, when you look at the change card, and I didn't even notice this until now. I've had that deck for quite a few years, and now I'm just like, oh, duh, that's hitting me in the face. It's literally at a time of change because it's either dawn or twilight. It kind of looks more like dusk or twilight to me. So maybe times of day have been coming up a lot recently in terms of maybe you've been really noticing the sunset too. In which case, symbolically the sunset would mean ending something and then starting something new, hence the theme of change. So maybe you've been also having an inkling towards ending something recently, but you're not 100% sure why or where that's coming from. So, themes like that. Let's look at your Dream Ritual Oracle. First up, we have, Inspire. We have a little piano. Actually, it's a grand piano. It's not really little, right? That's a big piano. With the new moon. And then of course, the music clefs here. Maybe there's something with piano music recently that you have been drawn to, or maybe learning piano, or it could just be music in general. It doesn't have to be piano, because of course there is just a music clef here, a treble clef, I guess it's called technically. Listening to music, maybe you've been getting a lot of synchronicities through like a song recently. Like I know sometimes that happens to me where all of a sudden I won't think about a song for years, and then I will get an earworm, and I'm like, I don't know, you ever wake up with an earworm? You just wake up in the morning, and all of a sudden you're like, why is this song I have not heard in years stuck in my head? So that's very possible that maybe that's been popping up for you, pile 3, and if that's the case, that might be actually a sign or like a message from Spirit on a message that they want you to hear. At least I personally get a lot of signs through music. I don't know about you guys, but Or it could be something that keeps popping up on the radio in your car or on your way to work, or maybe on your playlists if you have like a Spotify playlist, things like that, or a song you've been hearing a lot recently, just in general. Something with music or some sort of instrument, maybe specifically piano, but that's another sign for you if you've been feeling that, pile 3. And then from the Soul Mirror Oracle, we have, growth. I love this picture. It is growth with dying versus evolving, which is very similar to the idea of change. So we have a bit of a synchronicity there. And with growth, of course, we think of plants, we think of a new life, we think of seeds growing and seedlings reaching to their full potential in terms of blossoming into who or what they're supposed to be. And, this is a really odd thing. I usually don't see a lot of signs in terms of physical pain or health, but maybe a lot of you have been having back pain recently. Shoulder pain too. I know it's very common in general, but I don't know. It looks like that would be kind of painful if you had like hands coming out of your back. So I don't know. Intuitively, I was kind of drawn to maybe you're having like a pain in your back or your shoulders recently, or specifically maybe down your spine because it's kind of the central part of her back. Maybe a lot of thinking too in the shower or the bath because she's technically wading in water. There's something that I think, like you want to let go of or you want to end. Or you want to change really bad. You're like, I don't know if I can stand this thing anymore, or I don't know if I can continue this particular thing anymore. But you haven't been necessarily trusting your gut for some particular reason. Maybe because you're not sure of the benefits of leaving or outweighing the benefits of staying with this thing or continuing whatever it is. Let's look at your Lantern Oracle. I don't know. And I think, too, especially for those of you that are have been hearing, like, music synchronicities, like a song repeating or a lyric repeating, etc., because that particular card has the new moon on it, it makes me almost wonder if part of the direction you're being encouraged in by Spirit is related to whatever message is from that song. So make sure to listen to that song if you are resonating with, like, a music thing. And then we have the very final card in the Lantern Oracle. What's a bit of a title drop? It's literally the Lantern card with number 44. And of course, 4 does represent numerologically stability. Okay, stability. Things being equal, things being balanced. And it says consciousness is light. And she is finding her way, literally with lanterns, but she's blindfolded because she's not following what her eyes are telling her. She's following what the light is telling her. And the light in this particular deck is literally the wisdom through lessons learned. Okay, so I think the main reason why you're maybe being drawn to end something or change something is because of some lessons that you've been learning. And maybe you're kind of coming to a natural conclusion here, pile 3, in terms of like your soul saying, okay, I already learned this lesson. I'm done with this phase of something and I'm ready to move on. So it might not even be necessarily for all of you that this is like a really major like change in terms of you wanting to change because this thing has been like a pain in the butt for you. I mean, maybe some of you that has been the case and you're like, oh man, this has been a pain. Like maybe that's why the pain came out with the growth card. Or you're like, I don't know, I can't stand this thing anymore, or I don't want to do this thing anymore, whatever that is. But I think for a lot of you, if that's not resonating, it might also just be that, I don't know, like some of you might just feel like this has been a natural conclusion. You're like, I already kind of know. Like, I feel like I'm ready to move on or go to the next level with something. In which case, I would not be shocked if you do get, say, like, the Judgment card, or especially the World card. I'm feeling a lot for you in the energy of this reading. We'll see with your tarot cards what pops out, but I do feel that. So, yes, music, too, as I said, is the one sign we already talked about quite a bit. And then kind of with the carousel, because carousels do play music, too. That's another thing about them. They spin, they play the music while people are writing them. Especially like maybe music about like circles or music about cycles or things going around or a carousel or circus, things like that. Maybe music or songs around growth or like pain of some sort, especially like, I don't know if there's any songs about having a pain in the back, but if there are, feel free to weigh in the comments. I've never personally heard any. And then too with light too, like lanterns. And even she's kind of in twilight too. Can't really tell if it's dawn or dusk, but she is kind of in a liminal state here, being on the end of something towards the start of something new. Yeah, in general, pile 3, I think you're on a cusp of a pretty big change here. Now, I don't know why maybe you've been ignoring it or you've been not necessarily following your gut or hearing the signs going forward or towards this change. Of course, we always have free will, and like in a tarot reading, I'll never tell you that you have to do a change or you have to do a certain thing, but I can already tell you based on your oracle cards, not even looking at your tarot yet, I think you're being highly encouraged to go through with whatever the change or the growth is. Maybe even some of you too have been inspired in some way. Speaking of your inspire card, like out of the blue, you might have just gotten this inkling of like, oh, I should do that thing. And you ignored it maybe because you're like, oh, that was just a fancy thought. It was just a random thing that popped into my head. But actually, it might have been a sign from the universe that is something maybe you should move in the direction towards of. So yeah, music, light, growth type imagery. And even she's kind of on a liminal space here because she's in water. Right between the land and the sea. Kind of in the shallows. So being right on the cusp of something. Let's look at your tarot reading, pile 3. I'm very curious to see what will pop out. Like I said, not be shocked if Judgment or the World comes out. Or maybe even the Fool, because the Fool is about new beginnings after the ending of something. Let's see what comes out. Okay, Spirit, anything else for pile 3 on the message they've been, well, kind of accidentally ignoring? Oops. I love the oops part of the title. I think it's funny. All right, we have, well, what did I say? I was like, I would not be shocked if you get the Fool, and there she is. We have the Fool reversed, which can mean that we're denying a new beginning, which is very fitting with everything that's been popping out. Denying a change, denying a new adventure. Can also be either warning about risks with a new venture, or a situation where we've let the fear of risks hold us back a little bit too much when it comes to starting something new. And once again, she's in that liminal space. She's moving literally towards the light from a dark place on her broom. Huh. I don't know, pile 3. That's a lot of synchronicities. That's pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. And then the second card today is the Page of Wands, but reversed, denying that which we want to explore or express, or especially Wands energy is a lot about fire, which is, creativity, our willpower, our ambitions, what makes us feel alive, our strength, our passions. You want to do something new, or it's been staring you in the face, but you're afraid of the risks, and you're afraid of, or perhaps you're not sure if it's like the time is right to move on. And the same thing with Page of Wands reversed. It's like you're not, there's something there that's a great opportunity, but you're not exploring it yet, pile 3. Let's look at the Heart of the Matter card. Then we have the Hermit reversed, wanting to come out of our shell. Literally, we are in a cave. Once again, we have that lantern, just like in the Lantern card from the Lantern Oracle. So lanterns might be another synchronicity you've been seeing recently, or lights in the dark. Yep, out of a cave. And reversed literally means the Hermit is coming out of his cave. So for you, pile 3, the change really might centralize around the whole idea of you coming out of your shell in some way. Maybe the new thing that you've been kind of feeling an inkling towards starting, but you've been afraid to, is literally doing something completely new in terms of direction, in terms of it really expands your horizons. It's kind of like the feeling of coming out of a cave of some sort. Maybe you've been thinking about it a lot. Maybe you've been kind of in that hermit solitude energy of like, well, I don't know. I've been thinking, even like I was saying with the growth card, like maybe you've been thinking about a lot in the shower or the bath. It's been kind of a quiet process of understanding what it is that you want to do that's new, which is very hermit energy. But when the Hermit reverses, the Hermit comes out of the cave, out of that quiet solitude energy, and is like, okay, world, here's the new thing I learned. Here's the new thing I want to do. Here I come, right? That kind of energy. So coming out of our shell, especially the lantern imagery, is really cool too, because the lanterns in these decks often represent like the wisdom that we have gained in solitude, especially with the Hermit, and that we're sharing with the world. Maybe it's literally wisdom you want to share with the world. Maybe that's part of the change that you want to move in the direction of. Could be sharing wisdom through art, through expression of some sort. And then we have, the Knight of Pentacles. Knights are action takers. Knights can also be messengers, because traditionally they are on a horse. This one is a bear, but although riding a bear would be really cool, don't get me wrong, if it was a tame bear. But speaking of the circus too, speaking of tame bears, I just realized that. Something with bears too. Yeah, Knight of Pentacles is taking action towards that which we need for stability, towards resources or job or career-related things. And that's in the near future. We'll talk about what that means more in a second. But last but not least, we need your outcome. We have the Hierophant. Huh. And the Hierophant is typically tradition. The Hierophant is a return to the way things have always been done. It can also mean authority in some way, especially spiritual authority, because typically the original interpretation of the Hierophant was like the Pope, which is like, a spiritual authority figure, right? So, interesting, pile 3. Yes, I mean, I won't repeat it too ad nauseum, because, we already saw the Fool and the Page of Wands. You want to do something new, but you're afraid of the risks, or you think it's too risky, or maybe this new beginning has been staring you in the face and you just haven't turned around and went, oh, well, that's a direction I could go. Maybe it's been kind of haunting your thoughts, and there's been signs in terms of music or circus imagery or lantern imagery, of course, but then it's like, I don't know, it just hasn't been clicking yet, or maybe you're just afraid to look. You're afraid to even entertain the idea, because change can be scary, right, pile 3? Change is not always the most comforting thing. But I think this change for you is in a really good direction, especially in terms of your own authority here with this particular interpretation of the Hierophant, right? But interestingly enough, although it's a reading about you embracing change, at the same time, as I said, with the Hierophant being your outcome, the Hierophant is about tradition as well. And usually tradition, especially with it being upright, means that it's something that does not change. Okay, so it's weird. I almost wonder if some of you are being encouraged towards a direction that you already had done before that is considered like your tradition, but then you took kind of like a side route, and then you're kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe I want to change back to what that was. Okay, so that's one way that Hierophant can manifest in terms of your situation, but it could also mean, pile 3, that you're doing something that is technically new to you, but it is a more traditional path, or it's something that upholds tradition in some way, or it can be a spiritual vocation of some sort, a spiritual type of path. Maybe you are deciding like you want to try something new with your spirituality. Maybe you want to learn a new religion. Maybe you want to learn a new like spiritual kind of activity, I guess. Like maybe you want to look into, I'm trying to think of a bunch of different things, Buddhism. Maybe you want to look into shamanism. Maybe you want to look into, I'm trying to think of different things, Reiki. Let's see. Healing touch. A bunch of different things, of course. You know your situation better than I do, pile 3. But especially touch, because hands are really emphasized here in the Hierophant. You can see that. There's literally a hand that's kind of the gateway from the stairs, and then she's holding a light with her hand. Oh, and then we have growth, too. There's literally a plant in a pot growing up at the very top. Well, what do you know? There's another synchronicity. Growing plants, especially kind of like leafy or like ivy-related plants. Maybe you've been seeing a lot of synchronicity with ivy or like fern-type plants. Not necessarily flowering ones, but that have a lot of green growth. Huh. Yeah, we even see that, too, with the Page of Wands. Although there are roses and tulips, but most of that is like fern-like growth around the fox. And then 2 woodland animals with the fox and the bear. But yeah, so yep, being afraid of change. Not exploring that which we are passionate about. So maybe where you are right now, what's really fueling this desire for change is this kind of deadness inside. That can be how the Page of Wands reversed represents itself in terms of our feelings at a soul level, as we feel kind of dead inside. We feel like our spark is kind of died out. We feel like, I don't know, we're afraid of the change, we're afraid of the new, but at the same time, we're not really happy where we are either, because it's stifling our creativity, it's stifling our expression in some way, or our ambitions, using those keywords that we use with the wand suit. And then, yes, so right now, I think, pile 3, you are on the cusp of coming out of your shell with this. I think you're still kind of maybe in hermit mode with this. You haven't really come out and said, hey, world, I'm doing this new thing. And part of that is this message, and of course you realizing, the other synchronicities that maybe were mentioned in this message that resonate with you, is you saying to yourself, oh, well, maybe it's okay to go in that new direction. Maybe I really have been pushed in that direction spiritually. And that's what maybe forces you to come out of the cave, so to speak, with the hermit energy. Because that is like the present energy right here in the middle is that hermit, okay? And two, it's also wisdom, even if it's not announced to the world directly and to other people, it can be wisdom announced to ourselves that has been subconsciously brewing in a way. So the cave in this case for you, pile 3, might literally mean the cave of the subconscious. Like deep down inside, you've been like, oh, I've been hearing that song a lot, or I've been thinking that thing in the shower a lot, or the bath recently. Or, I've been thinking about this direction for some reason, or I've been seeing like these circus symbols or lantern symbols recently, and I don't know why. And maybe with this reading, you're kind of like, oh, that's why. And so that's kind of the energy of the present with the hermit coming out of the shell of this is the wisdom from your subconscious or your spiritual side, from the other side too, that's finally kind of coming out. And it's like, oh, okay, now I see this wisdom, I see this light. And then, if you choose, you don't have to, although I will say you're being highly encouraged to choose change. Okay, that's actually a theme that all 3 piles have been doing today. I don't know why. Kind of a synchronous thing with everyone communally who watches this channel. But if you choose change, pile 3, take action in the near future towards this new thing. And I think for a lot of you, it might be related to job or career because it is the Knight of Pentacles, which is the Earth suit in tarot. That's the domain of Earth, is our resources, our stability, money, etc. If you take that journey, that will lead you to a place of greater authority of self. So it could actually be being self-employed or independent in some way. Could also be a spiritual vocation, as I was saying, because of the Hierophant. Or, as I said, it could be something that leads you towards, technically it's new to you, or it's new once again, but it's traditional in some other facet. All right? Now, I think maybe part of your fear here is derived from, yes, the risks that might crop up because you did get the full reversed. You might be kind of like, oh, I know, it's kind of risky. And the same thing, too, with the particular way that this Knight of Pentacles is depicted. It's not an easy trek. Okay, we do see the Knight of Pentacles trudging upwards, literally uphill through snow with a really big, scary grizzly bear right next to them. I mean, obviously, I think the bear is helping them, but it's kind of like their steed in this fantasy world. It's not a horse, it's a bear, but at the same time, it's kind of scary. It's a little cold. It feels a little stark. It feels like this is an uphill battle. But this is a situation, pile 3, where I think if you're willing to fight that uphill battle, you will be justly rewarded for it. Okay? Very beautiful. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Your message is pretty straightforward today. I think to cap off your reading, I'm going to do this specifically for you, pile 3. I'm going to ask Spirit for a final, 3 cards of advice on your path should you choose change. Okay, so I don't know, I feel like intuitively that's where I'm being drawn, so let's ask that. Spirit for pile 3, if they do choose change. Oh, a card just fell out right in my lap. Oh, it fell on the floor, actually. 1 second. We got the Emperor reversed. Let me grab that down there. Okay. We got literally the Emperor reversed. So speaking of authority, that was already one of your advice cards. I think that was the only card that fell. Yep. Okay, and then let's look at the other 2. Spirit, other advice if they choose change. Let's see here. The Magician. Look at all these, I don't know. Lots of major arcana for you, pile 3. Wonderful. Okay, so advice if you choose change here. We'll just go through this very quickly. Number 1. Well, I'll tell you this. If you are doubting taking the path of change because you fear that you will not be able to manifest what it is that you're looking for, you're wrong. Okay, because you got the Magician as your central card, and that is the card of someone who is able to gather resources and create something better out of them. And it's literally the card of manifesting or manifestation in a very positive way. Okay, so be encouraged. I know maybe self-esteem or a fear of being imperfect is part of the factor here that might be holding you back, in which case don't let it hold you back, okay? Be confident in your ability to manifest. All right, the other piece of advice for you is in terms of the Emperor, and especially in terms of the 3 of Wands reversed. They're both reversed, and they're kind of a similar message, so we'll just kind of combine them together, pile 3. Tackle the path of change with lots of planning in mind. There's something here that you need to plan for, because the 3 of Wands reversed can mean that we did something, however, we could have planned more for it and it would have turned out better. Or it can also mean that, we plan something, it doesn't go exactly the way that we expect. So plan for everything. Really go at it like, I always use Virgo as an example because every Virgo I've ever met in my entire life has been a really big organized planner. So if you also know like a very planning oriented Virgo, that's what I would say. Be a Virgo. Plan it out, or maybe you already are a Virgo, in which case just be yourself. Plan it out a lot then too. And then Emperor is kind of similar reversed because it's a lot about making sure that we have enough like control and authority and structure and organization around things. And we have that 4, of course, repeated again, just like we did in Lantern. So 4, once again, is control, it's authority, stability specifically, balance in things. So really make sure that you plan everything out. But besides that, if you have a stellar plan, and maybe for some of you, you're already you have the plan. You've already been thinking with that hermit energy. And so maybe it's at the point of Spirit saying, well, you already planned everything out to the umpteenth. Why aren't you going forward with it? In which case, maybe that's just a confidence thing, right? But that could just be encouragement for those of you that have already planned it out, right? In terms of, hey, you already planned it. Go for it. Like if you already know there's nothing more you can plan for, you're ready, pile number 3. Okay. Also make sure to step into your power in terms of authority. That will also really help you. That's kind of a combined message of the Hierophant and the Emperor. They're both authority figures, right? So don't be afraid to step into leadership. Don't be afraid to follow your dreams, I guess, is how I would kind of explain it all in general. Heed when your spirit tells you, I need change. Heed when your spirit points you in directions that might be scary on the surface, but you know deep down inside that that's something that you're yearning for. Okay. Also, listen to your shower thoughts when you're in the bath too, because you have a lot of cards here where people are like kind of like halfway between like water and the surface, especially your growth card here. You can see she's like right in the water, and then same thing too with your 3 of Wands. So I don't know. Listen to those shower thoughts, pile 3. If you choose it, you will likely be quite successful. All right. So that was your reading for today on the message you've been maybe accidentally ignoring. I hope that it helped you. It resonated. You liked it, of course. And if so, you know how the YouTube stuff works. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, pile 3.